You know that feeling when you're surrounded by people but still feel completely alone? Like you're in a room full of noise, full of faces, full of conversations happening all around you, but somehow none of it actually reaches you. None of it touches the part of you that actually needs to be touched. You smile, you nod, you say the right things, and then you go home, close the door, and feel emptier than when you left. That feeling has a name, and it's more common right now than at any other point in human history. Let me tell you something that researchers who have spent decades studying human behavior have found. The number one predictor of how long you live, how healthy you stay, how happy you feel on any given Tuesday morning, is not your diet. It's not your exercise routine. It's not your income. It's the quality of your relationships. Not the quantity, not the number of followers or connections or contacts. The quality, the depth, the realness of the connections you actually have with other human beings. And most people today have almost none of that. Here's where it gets really important. If you've been feeling disconnected, if you've been feeling like something is missing but you can't quite put your finger on it, I want you to know something. That feeling is not your fault. You are not broken. You were shaped by a world that taught you to perform connection instead of feel it. Think about every interaction you have in a day, every text, every post, every meeting, every how are you, good, how are you. You're moving through 1,000 human interactions and not one of them cracks the surface. Not one of them says, this is who I actually am. This is what I'm actually carrying. And because everyone is doing the same thing, everyone is performing, everyone is presenting the best, most polished, most acceptable version of themselves, you end up in this invisible prison where you're technically connected to hundreds of people but genuinely known by almost no one. That is not living. That is just surviving in a very lonely costume. Now here's the thing. Most people, when they feel this way, they try to fix it by adding more socializing, more events, more dates, more networking, more posting, more everything. And it does not work. Because the problem is never the amount of connection you have. The problem is the depth. The problem is that somewhere along the way you forgot or were never taught how to actually connect, how to actually be seen, how to actually let another person in without armor, without performance, without an exit strategy. We have related programs linked down below in the video description that go much deeper into exactly how to build this kind of connection from the ground up. I'm going to be honest with you. Not everyone is ready for what those programs teach. They require a real willingness to look at yourself honestly. Most people aren't ready for that. But if you are, and you'll know if you are, they are down there waiting for you. Let me paint you a picture of what prolonged disconnection actually does to a person. Because I don't think we talk about the real cost enough. When you go months, sometimes years, without a single conversation where you felt truly understood, something starts to shift inside of you. You stop trying. You stop reaching for depth because depth costs you something and you've been burned too many times. You've been vulnerable and it went nowhere. You've opened up and the other person got uncomfortable. You've tried to be real and the room went quiet. So you learn. You learn to keep it light, keep it safe, keep it surface level, and you become incredibly good at small talk and completely starving inside. The research on this is not just emotional, it is biological. Chronic loneliness activates your brain's threat response the same way physical danger does. Your cortisol levels stay elevated, your immune system weakens, your sleep deteriorates, your decision-making gets worse. Study after study shows that people without genuine connection are significantly more likely to experience depression, anxiety, and even cardiovascular disease. The cost of disconnection is not just emotional pain. It is years off your life. It is your health. It is the full expression of who you could be, slowly, quietly shrinking. And here's what makes it even harder. The world we live in has completely redefined what connection is supposed to look like. And it has done us no favors. You can have 500 contacts and feel like you have nobody. You can be in a relationship and feel more alone than when you were single. You can have a full calendar and an empty soul. Because busyness is not connection. Proximity is not connection. Agreement is not connection. Real connection is something most people have literally never experienced. And because they've never experienced it, they don't even know what they're missing. They just know something feels wrong. Something feels hollow. Something feels like they're always on the outside of a warmth they can almost see but can't quite reach. Does that sound familiar? Now let me tell you what happens on the other side. Because I want you to feel this. I want you to actually imagine it. Imagine walking into a conversation and not performing, not calculating, not editing, just being exactly who you are and having the other person lean in. Having them say, yes, I understand, I feel that too. Imagine having people in your life who actually know you, not the version of you that shows up to be liked or to avoid conflict or to fit in. The actual you, the complicated, uncertain, contradictory, beautifully human you. When you have that, everything changes. Not slowly, dramatically. The anxiety that sits in your chest at 2 in the morning has somewhere to go. The decisions that feel impossible to make alone become clear when you're thinking them through with someone who genuinely sees you. The grief that you've been carrying quietly for years finally has a witness. And witnessed grief moves. Unwitnessed grief just grows. People with deep, genuine connection report not just higher happiness, but a fundamentally different relationship with life itself. They feel safer. They take more risks. They bounce back faster from failure. They experience physical pain less intensely. This is documented. This is not philosophy. This is how human beings are biologically wired. We are meant to be truly known by other people, and when we are not, something in us starts to die. The most important shift you will ever make is not finding the right person or the right job or the right city. It is learning how to actually connect, how to be present without armor, how to listen without preparing your response, how to show up in a way that invites other people to show up too. That's skill, and it is a skill. It is learnable, it is buildable, changes the trajectory of everything. People who have done this work consistently describe it as before and after. Before, they were managing. After, they were actually living. Before, relationships were exhausting because they required constant performance. After, relationships became the thing that refueled them. That is the difference genuine connection makes. And that difference is available to you. Now, this is not for everyone watching this right now. Some people hear all of this and they still think, I can figure it out on my own. Maybe you can. But the people who transform their relationships the fastest are the ones who stop trying to reverse engineer something they've never seen modeled. They find the right guidance, the right framework, and they build it with intention, rather than hoping it happens by accident. Down below in the description you will find our related programs. They exist for one specific reason, to give you a real path forward, not a vague idea of connection but an actual lived experience of it. Most people scroll past this. They watch, they feel something, and then they go back to the same patterns because taking action feels uncomfortable. But you are not most people, or you wouldn't still be here. The only question worth asking yourself right now is this: how long are you willing to feel like this? Because this is not just a feeling you have to live with. This is something that changes. This is something that can be completely different a month from now. But only if you decide today that you are worth the change. The programs are in the description. Everything you need to know is there. Do not let another day pass feeling like an outsider in your own life.